Welcome to Sundar's Aviation Investigation Podcast. Today we're diving deep into the Air India Flight AI 171 crash analysis, looking at what might have gone wrong with that Boeing 787 Dreamliner.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So to start off, the aircraft was fully loaded with 242 passengers, 12 crew, tons of luggage, and even carried over 125,000 litres of fuel for a nearly 10-hour journey. Quite the setup, yes?
Absolutely, and it's like, the Dreamliner taxied on a 3.5-kilometer runway in Ahmedabad. And unlike your typical takeoff, it used almost the full length before rotating.
That's intriguing. And then things got even more dramatic. I'm talking about the fact that the rotation happened near V1 speed, and it barely got off the ground, only to climb slowly to about 625 feet before leveling off. Seems almost eerily suspicious, right?
Definitely. Then, in just 17 seconds after liftoff, things spiraled out of control. The aircraft began to experience a critical power loss, stalling and plummeting rapidly. The final heart-stopping mayday call said, "Losing thrust falling, mayday, mayday, mayday."
Wow, chilling indeed. It's like, 1 minute you're airborne and then suddenly, bam. The plane crashes into the BJMC hostel building, causing a massive fireball. How do you process that sequence of events?
Well, what's fascinating is that analysis from video, audio, and ATC confirms that the takeoff roll was unusually lengthy. There were no external signs of engine fire or damage. Instead, residents captured that high-pitched whine of the rat, or ram air turbine, which indicates a severe power loss.
Yeah, that rat whine is definitely a red flag. When you look at the potential causes, they include engine thrust loss, fuel contamination, maybe even issues with FADEC or hydraulic systems. But I wonder how much weight should really be given to fuel quality versus human factors in all this.
Great question. On one side, you have the technical aspects, like the fuel being Jet A1, maybe even a blend with SAF, and the possibility of contaminated fuel affecting both engines. On the other, human factors like pilot decision-making, flaps retraction issues, and even fatigue all play a role, especially with such a narrow margin for recovery at low altitudes.
I mean, if you think about it, the pilots only had seconds to respond. Even if they executed every emergency procedure perfectly, at 625 feet, recovery might have been impossible.
Right, exactly. And then there's ATC coordination. Immediate response was there, but with the crash unfolding so rapidly, clear instructions might not have been enough. Plus, the maintenance history, with a fuel leak incident back in 2021, adds yet another layer of complexity.
Yeah, it's like a perfect storm of factors. So, what do you think stands out most here? The mix of technical failures and human error?
It's a bit of both. The simultaneous engine thrust loss, whether due to fuel issues, digital control failures, or even aerodynamic complications like delayed flaps retraction, is critical. And, when you combine that with potentially imperfect pilot responses and maybe even crew fatigue, it becomes a cascading series of unfortunate events.
Absolutely. That makes sense. And the recommendations point straight at enhancing engine reliability, better pilot training, and tighter fuel quality control. All of which are essential to prevent such tragedies in the future.
Right, and as investigators are still poring over the flight data and cockpit voice recorders, we're left with, more questions than answers. But one thing's clear, modern aviation safety has to continually evolve and learn from these incidents.
Absolutely, always learning.